Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of the Energetic Shift podcast. Today's a little bit different. Today's a little bit more of an update of a share, a very vulnerable share, and also, I suppose, a bit of an exercise for me because I need to put something out there. So it's another way of me putting something out there, putting this out there. And I've titled this episode The Knowing. And it comes after so many signs, signals, nudges. And I would be doing myself and you guys and my clients and anybody else that has anything to do with me and my world a disservice if I didn't talk about this, if I didn't action this, if I didn't practice this, if I didn't do it. And I think I've hidden it for so long. I've avoided it for so long. I've distracted myself. I've called it something else. I've pretty much just hid under a rock with it in a way, from a public eye anyway. But I've always had this knowing, and I'm just riffing, and I'm just allow what comes out to come out. And it's a very personal share, but it's so needed for so many different reasons. And do you know what? All of those reasons aren't actually apparent yet. And I'm very trusting in whoever listens to this is listening for a reason, will take what they need and leave what they don't, as always. But I'm going to share the events that have led to where I am right now. And so I'm going to rewind a few steps. First one being, I've always had this knowing, right? I've always had this intuition, this inner knowledge, feeling, pull, whatever you want, again, to something external to me, something outside of my physical, right? And my mind. I don't see dead people, put it that way. Like, I don't see dead people, I don't hear dead people. I'm not that psychic, right? However, I'm a lot more psychic, and I'm getting better at saying this word. And that comes from my own judgment on myself, by the way. But I'm more psychic than I've let on. I've cut myself short, done myself a disservice for years and years. So in the early days, like I say, I've always had this knowing, I've always had this like sixth sense, this intuition that guides me, that leads me, that allows me to guide and lead other people. And I used to go to spiritualist churches when I was like in my early 20s, and I've just always, especially since like becoming a mother, it really escalated. Then I've probably hidden behind the fact that it's just a mother's intuition, instinct, mother's instinct. And it's not. It's been a lot more than that. And it's led me in all different directions, in all different ways. And I hid behind masculinity, as in like I hid behind the masculine energy. I hid behind doing. I hid behind hustle. I distracted myself so much because I was so scared of what it was, I suppose, in so many different ways. And battled with the thought that it was any sort of psychic ability or power, or like I just thought, I haven't got this gift, it's not me, that's not, like, it's just coincidence. And I lived in a very conditioned environment, a very conditioned world, growing up. So it was very easy to excuse it, very easy to ignore it, should I say, very easy to distract myself, very easy to just ignore that it even existed. However, I always had this pull to develop faith, and I had this, like, it was like an inner yearning. Like, I could feel something pulling me towards some faith, like, and it came in like the fear of death. Like, I had this huge fear of dying and death, and I used to be really jealous and envious of religious people because they didn't have this fear. And bearing in mind, I was just pulling on what I knew to be true, what I knew in the world that I was in at the time. And I'm talking like in my teens and in my early 20s. I even tried to like go to churches and read the Bible and like look at other religious scripture, and I just none of it fit. And then I started my business, and I started softening and really stepping more into my feminine and allowing more of the unseen, unheard, unknown, to come to light. And I started doing a lot more of the spiritual stuff, again, like everything has led me to where I am right now. But like everything led me to this point. I went to a networking event. I met a woman very weirdly called Meg, actually, and I used to call her my Mystic Meg because she absolutely was very fucking mystic. And I started doing a load of energy work with her. This was, I'm talking like we're going back like 10 years, 11 years ago now. And I started doing a lot of work there. Like, had my first out of body experience. Used to go and have weekly healing sessions from her, energy healing sessions, connecting on a deeper, wider. And do you know what? There's probably a lot of you listening to this right now that don't know this about me. Again, because I kind of hid this, to be fair, and it was previous to me knowing probably most of you right now that listen to this. And I loved it. And the message that constantly kept coming through there was like, step more into your feminine, step more into your feminine, surrender, let go. I was extremely masculine. I was extremely controlling. I'm also an Aries. So like control is a big thing for me. Like I'm a self-confessed control freak. I need to know the answers. I need to know the ins and outs of a duck's ass. I need to know everything. And it sounds a little bit like counterintuitive now because obviously I know, and I know now that I knew all along. It was inside of me, but I was looking external. I was looking for external answers rather than internal answers because I was ignoring and I'd pushed this knowing of mine right down. But the more I started doing this work, the more spiritual awakenings I had, the more work I was doing with guides. And I spent a lot of time, maybe from like I say 11 years ago, maybe to about 6 years ago, I spent a lot of time doing this. And then when I started my business coaching career, like I've always been an intuitive business coach. That's what I labeled myself. I named myself. And the intuitive bit, like I just kind of again disguise it. It's like, I'm just because I'm spiritual and I love crystals, right? But actually it's because I've always had this ability with my clients to be able to above and beyond what most coaches do, right? In the fact of they read between the lines and they hear what you're not saying and stuff like that. Like I really do connect deeply with a client's energy. So I've had this and I've worked with this all of my business coaching career. And so that's what I, again, hid behind. It's just the fact that I just channel energy and I'm connected with the energy and I can feel what they feel and all of that stuff. And if I think of a person, if I tap into a person, I can feel, and especially if I see a person, if I'm with a person in real life, I really do pick up on their energies. And it's not just from an empath point of view either. I really do feel and I can guide them from that. Now, over the years, maybe the last 3 years, I have been given nudges after nudges, and it comes in the light of maybe a psychic or a medium or somebody that I know that's in my world that's intuitive also, but obviously on a more active practicing level. And they have all told me I need to be doing more of this, to the point where not last year, the year before, I joined a membership, a psychic medium mentorship membership that helped me because I've had this fear, right? So first my fear used to be I'm scared of what other people will think of me. Like, will they think I'm weird, a witch, etc. I was just so worried about that. And it's so strange because obviously I coach my clients through this sort of fear, right? I don't have this sort of fear in anything else and not move with it, right? But this obviously just I kept blocking it and blocking it and blocking it. And it was one because I was scared of what other people would think. Would they think I'm a witch? Would they think I'm, like telling lies, whatever. And then I also had the fear of so I'm a big believer in with light there is dark. And I was so scared of letting the dark side in, letting a bad energy in, a bad entity in, and not knowing how to get rid of it or do anything about it. And it really enabled me to block everything. I also don't want to be like I see dead people. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the Mystic Meg. I don't want to be the person that gives readings on people's past loved ones. That's not what I want to do. I now only want to use it as a tool to help me guide my clients in my own life. However, I then went to an event, not last November, the November before, and I met an energy healing lady there who told me that I am extremely spiritual, intuitive, and I need to practice this. Like spirit are telling her to tell me that I need to do this. And again, I ignored it. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. However, occasionally, and this is the thing, I don't control this, right? So I can be in a coaching call, I can be coaching somebody. It actually happened at an event that I ran the other week. I brought somebody up hot seat coaching, and I don't have voices in my head. I have something, what they would call clair knowing, right? So I don't have the clair audio, clair visual, whatever I don't even know all of the ins and outs. I'm sure I'm going to learn all of this, right? But I have something called clair knowing. I just know. I just have a feeling that it's the right thing or the wrong thing, or I just know. And I can feel when something good, something bad. I can say something that comes actually out of my mouth and I don't know where it's come from. So like, I know it's not mine. I know it's not my words. I know it's not my thoughts. I know it's not, like, it just comes out of my mouth and immediately I go, that wasn't mine. Like, that's channeled. I can feel that's channeled. Now, I don't turn that on and off. So there's no like, I'm calling in all my guides. I don't do that. I haven't been doing that up till recently, right? So I haven't been doing any of that. I haven't been doing the actual practice of connection and opening and closing channels and portals and all of that sort of stuff until recently. Now, I then ignored that again from the event. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I can't. No. And then, like I say, occasionally this comes in and I'll get the odd, message come through or channeling coaching session. And sometimes I will say to the client, that's come from above. Sometimes I just say it and it is what it is, but I know inside that it's not mine. Now, I then had an experience March this year where I went to an event. I spoke at an event, a big London event. So it was a 2-day event. I spoke on the first day. The second day was more like workshop energy, psychic, class walking, kind of like interactive sessions on the Friday. And I just wasn't feeling it. Like I wanted to go home. I was in a really bad place because we didn't end up going to Bali, and I was supposed to be going to Bali that weekend. And I knew we weren't going at that point because of the whole Middle East war, etc. And I was just so sad and so upset. And I just wanted to like get home. And I was in and out of the room. I was going and sitting outside, then I was going and sitting inside. And I went in at this particular time that the psychic was up on the stage. And she was about to take us through this like little, I don't even know what you would call it, like vision, meditation, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, I can't leave now. It'd be rude. I don't want to. And also, she was like, close your eyes. And I was like, I don't want to be the only one sat with my eyes open in the audience. So I closed them, thinking I will just humor, right? And the second I closed my eyes, I was in it. And I normally struggle in public to meditate or, switch off from the external noise. And instantly, the second I closed my eyes, I was in it. And she was like, laid on the floor in the grass outside. You can feel the wet grass with the hot sun on your face. Sit up. I felt it all immediately. She was like, sit up. In the distance in front of you is a bench with a past loved one. I saw who it was. It was my grandpa, when my mum's dad, who had passed away when I was 12. He was my like bestie, like my absolute best friend. And he was sat there, and I burst into tears, like tears rolling down my face. And she was like, get up and walk towards him, walk towards the loved one on the bench, sit down, ask them for a gift. Anyway, the gift was a blue crystal. Long story short, this crystal turned out to be a lapis lazuli, which is the connector between the spiritual realm and earth. So another sign there. I didn't know this. So this was obviously the gift that was supposed to come over the next few days. I left the event. The following week, my husband had said one of his customers, he's a painter and decorator, by the way, and like this kind of shit doesn't happen in his world, had said, do you know anybody that likes crystals? And he was like, yeah, I'll ask her a lot. It was like, oh, I'll send you some photos. I'm selling some crystals. And we're talking like big 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 pound raw amethyst, right? So I was like, I'm not interested. And my friends probably won't be interested in something so expensive. But he was like, oh, I'll send you the pictures anyway. Amongst this like big, massive raw amethyst for 10K was a small round sphere blue crystal, which was a lapis lazuli. Now, I didn't know at the time that this was a lapis lazuli that I'd seen in the vision, or that this photo had shown me. So I asked Clint to ask the guy what it was. He came back, this is lapis lazuli. I looked up the meaning. That was what it was. Half an hour after that incident, which was only like 4 days after the event, I had a session with a coach that I'm working with that is also a psychic. So I'm working with her for something else, but she's also a psychic. And I was like, bring your psychic abilities. She came in. She knew nothing about what had happened. She told me spirit were telling her I need to connect. I'm not connected. I need to listen to, spirit. I need to do all of those things. So another sign. I was like, how? She was like, write. Oh, no, sorry. She was like, ask. So the next day I was like, writing, asking for answers, getting answers out of my hand. It was absolutely fucking mental. And then left it again. I was like, no, not doing it, not doing it. Like, it wasn't a conscious choice, but I now looking back, I was like, I just blocked it again. Like, and this is why I'm talking about it here, and I'm talking about it on my socials, and I'm talking about it to everybody that will fucking listen to me at the moment, because I need to assert this. It's like another part of the puzzle. I need to assert this into my life, so it becomes a non-negotiable, and it becomes part of it, because the fear of not delivering this now, the fear of not using this gift now, is become terrifying. Like, what will happen if I don't listen? That's what I'm thinking now. And so that happened. So I've been writing and getting the answers for stuff, and then I let it go. And this was only took in March, and we're now the 1st of June today. So last Saturday, the end of May, I had a session with a psychic medium. And no, tell a lie, before that, Ibiza. I went to Ibiza on a retreat. I spoke at a friend's retreat in Ibiza, and I pulled a card out of her deck in one of the workshops and sessions, and it said the knowing. And I'm going to read the message. It said, "You already know. This card appears when your intuition has already given you the answer, but your mind is trying to negotiate with fear. Your soul is asking you to trust yourself again. Not everyone will understand your path. They do not need to. The knowing was given to you for a reason. The fox is a potent spiritual symbol of adaptability, intelligence, and heightened intuition. Known for its cleverness and agility, the fox acts as a spiritual guide, encouraging you to trust your instincts, observe your surroundings, and navigate life's challenges with grace and confidence. The calling is to trust your inner wisdom without needing external validation." And I pulled that, and I was like, what the actual fuck? And then I came home from Ibiza on the Thursday, and on the Saturday I had a reading with a psychic medium who told me I have a gift that I need to connect with and use. She told me how to do it. She told me water was a big thing for me. My world, to help me connect. That's always been a big thing. You may have heard me talk about this before, like anything to do with water, near water. And I've always put it down to the fact that, like, I'm a fire sign, so it just cools me down. Like, it brings me into balance and in alignment. But actually, I've always had all my downloads, all my connections, everything and anything has been with or around or in water, the sea especially. And it's also my safe space. Like, when I close my eyes for a safe space, it's like it's in a pink rubber dinghy. I don't know why it's pink, because blue's my favourite colour, but it's in a pink rubber dinghy. Probably bringing in the feminine side is what that is. And I'm just floating on the sea. So water. And she was like, I'm seeing you, like, picturing you with your hands in a bucket of water. And I was like, can you imagine me doing a coaching call with my clients with just 2 minutes, let me just put my hands in water and to connect with spirit and see what your guides are saying. I thought that would be hilarious. But then also she said they're showing me writing. Now, this woman did not know me. She did not know that I'd been writing just about 4 weeks before to get my answers. And actually, this whole podcast, so I have just spent, before I started recording this, I've just spent 10 minutes connecting with a notepad, scribbling and writing things down and connecting and asking for the answers. So I needed 4 episodes for this month. I was like, I'm going to record 4 episodes. I need some help on the content what do my audience need to hear? And this was one of them. So I wrote down connection, and then as I wrote down connection, out of my notepad fell the card that I pulled in Ibiza called the knowing. So I was guided to talk to you about this today. I don't know if I'll hear anything back from any of you, but I trust that whoever's supposed to listen to this will hear this. And also, this is for me as well. This episode's as much for me as it is for you, to insert it more into the 3D world and to practice what I'm doing. So yeah, it's a wild ride. And as I look at the fucking clock right now, we're 22 minutes and 22 seconds in. You would not believe the synchronicities that have happened in the last few weeks that all of this has been unfolding. So I'm not ignoring it anymore. The universe is needing me, my guides, my universe, that, like, my intuition is coming out. Like, I'm listening. I am listening. So thank you for listening to me. Would love to hear your thoughts. I wrote this in a post today because I've put it out there on socials as well. To my children, I'm about to get a whole lot fucking weirder, right? To my husband, you will probably think, absolutely, I know where you're coming from here. To my friends, you may not understand what I'm talking about. To my audience, my content is going to get a whole new fucking vibe. To my clients, get fucking ready, because you are going to experience more weird unicorn magic, and I cannot fucking wait. And I will see you in next week's episode.